The listening test is about 50 minutes. There are 6 parts in listening test. You will have about 6 minutes to listen to each passage and answer the questions. The passage will be played once. Part 1, Listening to Problem Solving.
Instructions. You will hear a single conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. You will have to choose the best answer to each question. Total time for this task is around 5 minutes. You will get total 8 questions for this task.
Hi there! I noticed you've been looking at the flyer for our children's art and craft workshop. Is there anything I can help you with?
Oh, hi. Yes, I'm interested in signing up my daughter for the workshop, but I'm not sure if it's the right fit for her.
I understand. Can you tell me a little bit about your daughter? How old is she and what kind of activities does she?
She's 6 years old and loves anything to do with drawing and painting. She's always making things with her hands and has a real passion for creating.
That's great to hear. Our workshop is designed for children ages 5, 8, and we focus on a variety of art and craft projects. We encourage creativity and exploration, so your daughter would fit right in.
That sounds perfect.
Question 1. What is the main objective of the Children's Art and Craft Workshop? Question 2. What kind of activities does the woman's daughter enjoy? Question 3. What is the woman's concern about signing up her daughter for the workshop?
You will hear the second section of the conversation shortly.
We have a range of projects planned for the workshop, from painting and drawing to sculpture and mixed media. Each week we'll introduce a new theme, such as animals or nature, and guide the children through various activities that explore that theme.
That sounds really interesting. Will the children be working on their own or in groups?
It will be a combination of both. We believe that children learn best when they have the opportunity to collaborate and work together, as well as when they have the freedom to express themselves individually. So we'll have group activities as well as individual projects.
That's great to hear. What kind of materials will you be using?
We'll be using a variety of materials, including paint, markers, crayons, clay, and paper. We'll also provide some materials that are less common, such as fabric scraps and natural objects like leaves and twigs, to encourage the children to think outside the box.
Okay, that's really great to hear.
Question 4. Why will the workshop provide less common materials such as fabric scraps and natural objects? Question 5. How often will new themes be introduced in the workshop? Question 6. Will the children be working on their own or in groups?
You will hear the third section of the conversation shortly.
How long is the workshop and how much does it cost?
The workshop runs for 6 weeks, with 1 session per week. Each session is 2 hours long and costs $25 per child. We'll provide all the materials and snacks, so you don't need to worry about a thing.
That's very reasonable. I think I'll definitely sign my daughter up for the workshop. Can I register her now?
Absolutely. You can either register online through our website or come by our studio to register in person. We have limited spots available, so I recommend signing up soon to secure your spot.
Great! Thank you so much for answering all my questions. I'm really excited for my daughter to participate in the workshop.
It was my pleasure. We're looking forward to having her join us and seeing all the amazing creations she'll make.
Question 7. How often does the workshop meet? Question 8. How can someone register for the workshop?
Part 2, Listening to a Daily Conversation.
Instructions. You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Two colleagues, Alex and Sarah, are having a conversation about a revised purchase order in the break room of their office.
Hey Sarah, did you get a chance to look at the revised purchase order for the office supplies?
Yes, I did. It looks like they made some changes to the quantity and pricing.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It seems like they reduced the quantity of some items, but increased the price of others.
Right. I think we should go through each item and make sure we're still getting a good deal.
That's a good idea. Let's start with the pens. The quantity was reduced from 500 to 400, but the price per unit went down. Do you think we should still order them?
I think so. We can always order more later if we need to. Plus, the lower price per unit makes up for the reduced quantity.
That makes sense. What about the paper? They increased the price per ream but kept the same quantity.
I'm not sure about that one. We might be able to find a better deal elsewhere.
That's true. Let's make a note to look into it. What about the printer cartridges?
They reduced the quantity from 10 to 8, but kept the same price per unit. I think we should still order them since we don't go through them very quickly.
Agreed. And what about the staplers?
They increased the price per unit but kept the same quantity. I think we can find a better deal elsewhere.
Okay, let's make a note to look into that too. Overall, it seems like some items are still a good deal, while others we might be able to find a better price for.
Right. I'll make the necessary changes to the purchase order and send it back to the supplier.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate your help with this.
No problem, Alex. It's always good to make sure we're getting the best deal for the company.
Absolutely. Hey, have you had a chance to try out that new restaurant down the street?
Not yet, but I've heard good things. Do you want to go there for lunch tomorrow?
That sounds great. Let's plan on meeting in the lobby at noon.
Perfect. I'll see you then.
Question 1. What changes were made to the revised purchase order for office supplies? Question 2. Which item had a reduced quantity but a lower price per unit, according to the conversation? Question 3. Why did Sarah suggest looking into finding a better deal for the paper? Question 4. At what time were Alex and Sarah planning to meet in the lobby for lunch?
Part 3, Listening for Information.
Instructions. You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Hey, have you had a chance to check out the new manufacturing operation?
Yeah, I had a quick tour earlier this week. It's quite impressive.
I heard they invested a lot of money in new equipment and technology.
Yeah, that's what I was told. They've installed some state-of-the-art machinery and streamlined a lot of the processes. It's amazing how much more efficient everything is now.
That's great to hear. I'm really excited to see what kind of impact this will have on our production numbers.
Me too. From what I saw, they've been able to reduce a lot of the waste and downtime that we used to experience.
That's always a good thing. So what kind of products are they manufacturing in there?
Mostly high-tech electronics and machinery parts. I think they're also going to start producing some automotive components in the near future.
Interesting. I wonder how this will affect our relationships with our customers.
Well, I think it will definitely give us an edge over the competition. With our increased efficiency and quality control, we should be able to offer more competitive pricing and shorter lead times.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But what about the employees who used to work in the old manufacturing operation? Have they been able to transition to the new facility?
From what I understand, most of them have been trained on the new equipment and processes. There were a few layoffs, unfortunately, but overall, it seems like the transition has been smooth.
That's good to hear. I'm always concerned about how changes like this will affect our colleagues.
Absolutely. But I think in this case, the benefits outweigh the costs. The new facility is so much more efficient and effective than the old one.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm excited to see how this will all play out over the next few months.
Me too. I think it's going to be a game changer for our company.
Question 1. What type of products is the company planning to manufacture in the new facility in the future? Question 2. What type of products is the new manufacturing operation producing? Question 3. How have the new equipment and technology affected the manufacturing processes? Question 4. What will the new manufacturing operation provide the company with? Question 5. What impact did the new manufacturing operation have on some employees? Question 6. What was the reason for the new investment in equipment and technology?
Part 4. Listening to a news item.
Instructions. You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the drop-down menu.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow citizens of the world, today we bring to you some exciting news that has the potential to change the course of history as we know it. As you may have heard, a recent excavation has unearthed a collection of mysterious coins made entirely of silicon. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal with silicon coins? After all, we live in a world where digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are becoming increasingly popular. However, these silicon coins are unlike anything we have seen before. They date back to a time when the world was very different, and they hold clues to some of the biggest mysteries of our past. The coins discovered during an archaeological dig in a remote part of the world that is still largely unexplored. They were buried deep beneath the earth, and it is believed that they have been there for thousands of years. At first, the researchers who discovered them thought they were some kind of strange rock formation. But upon closer examination, they realized that they were, in fact, ancient coins. What makes these coins so fascinating is that they were made entirely of silicon. As you may know, silicon is the primary component of sand and is widely used in electronics, but it's not something you would typically associate with coins. The fact that these coins were made of silicon raises many questions about the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. But the mystery doesn't end there. The inscriptions on the coins are unlike any language we have ever seen before. They are a combination of symbols and characters that have never been deciphered. This has led to speculation that the coins may have been created by an extraterrestrial civilization, or perhaps by an ancient civilization that has since been lost to time. Of course, not everyone is convinced that these coins are the real deal. Some experts have suggested that they may be a hoax, created by someone with a lot of time on their hands and a great deal of creativity. But the researchers who discovered the coins are confident that they are authentic and are eager to continue studying them. Regardless of their authenticity, the discovery of these silicon coins has sparked a renewed interest in the history of our planet. It is a reminder that there is still so much we don't know about the past, and that there are still many secrets waiting to be uncovered. Who knows what other treasures are waiting to be discovered beneath the Earth's surface? Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this discovery is the possibility that it could lead to new advancements in technology. Silicon is already an incredibly important material in the world of electronics, and the discovery of ancient silicon coins could provide new insights how we can use this material in the future. Who knows what kind of revolutionary technologies we could develop if we were able to fully understand the properties of silicon and how ancient civilizations were able to use it?
Part 5, listening to a discussion.
Instructions. You will listen to a 2 minutes video. Then 8 questions appear. Choose the best way to answer each question.
House Democrats passed the Equality Act this week, but don't let the name fool you. It's anything but, particularly for battered women who, when looking for a safe space to escape an abusive relationship, would be forced to shelter with biological males, as long as the men identify as women, effectively eliminating any sense of safety or security. Joining me now is a director of a women's abuse shelter who is ready to take the Biden administration to court over this, Sherry Laurie, and her attorney, Kristen Wagoner. So, Sherry, you've been through this before in Alaska. You run a shelter for women who have been abused or who have escaped sex trafficking. One night you had a biological male show up at your shelter. He was injured. He had just gotten in a fight and kicked out of another shelter. He wanted to stay there and sleep there. You kindly said, this is a women's shelter. You cannot stay here. You paid for his cab and sent him to the emergency room. And then what happened, and how does this Equality Act now amplify what happened to you on a national scale?
Well, in Anchorage, we have a version of the Equality Act. It's a municipal code. And because we are a private organization, we were able to not have to do this. The Equality Act we're a religious organization, so because of the Equality Act, we would not be able to protect the women like we have to. We have women that have come from the streets that are battered, they've been sex trafficked, they're abused. They need protection, and this Equality Act would completely take away their right to protection as women. So it would be a very bad thing for our shelter.
Kristen, this is the debate now. Is the Equality Act? People argue that it's to make sure that transgendered individuals are not discriminated against, but in return, we see safe spaces for women who have been abused and in horrific, awful situations now subjected to harassment and trauma.
You're absolutely right. It's a dangerous and massive expansion of government power. It not only deprives women of private spaces, it takes away their right to fair competition in sports by forcing them to compete against males. It actually drives wedges between children who are taught dangerous ideas and destructive ideas about their bodies and their parents who believe in basic biology. It harms doctors who want to practice good medicine instead of social experimentation. Not to mention crushing the First Amendment rights of churches, religious organizations, and just individuals.
Yeah, Sherry, the part for me is that these women need help. They need a safe place to go. They have been nearly killed by their domestic partners in some cases, and yet now they are being subjected to being forced to sleep in the same room as biological males.
Yes, that's the reality of it, that we have women that come to our door at night that have just been raped. And at the same time, we would have to let a biological man that's identifying as a woman come and sleep on a mat right next to that woman. That would be terribly traumatizing to the woman and cause great anxiety. We actually had, and we're talking Alaska in the middle of winter. And so we had the ladies after that last incident say that they would have left the shelter that night and gone and slept in the snow in the woods had we let that biological male stay in the shelter.
That's horrific. Well, I know that you are planning on taking the Biden administration to court. Kristen, Sherry, thank you so much for sharing your story. We have to protect women just like they want to protect everyone else. Thank you very much.
Part 6, Listening for Viewpoints.
Instructions. You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the drop-down menu.
Science is an essential subject that provides the foundation for many disciplines and professions. From medicine to engineering, science plays a vital role in advancing our understanding of the world around us. As such, it is crucial to ensure that students receive effective teaching and learning of science. In this article, we will explore what effective teaching and learning of science entails, and why it is so important. Effective teaching of science involves several key components. Firstly, teachers must have a deep understanding of the subject matter they are teaching. This includes not only a strong knowledge of the fundamental concepts and theories, but also an understanding of how these concepts can be real world. Teachers must be able to convey this knowledge to their students in a clear and concise manner, using appropriate language and examples. Another crucial aspect of effective teaching is the use of appropriate teaching methods. Science is a subject that requires a hands-on approach, and teachers should incorporate practical experiments and demonstrations into their lessons. This allows students to see the concepts they are learning in action and helps to reinforce their understanding of the subject matter. Additionally, teachers should encourage students to ask questions and participate in class discussions, as this can help to foster a deeper understanding of the material. It is also essential for teachers to create a positive learning environment. Students who feel comfortable and supported in their learning are more likely to engage with the material and retain what they have learned. Teachers should be approachable and supportive, and they should provide feedback and encouragement to their students. It is also important for teachers to create a classroom culture that values and celebrates scientific inquiry and discovery. Effective learning of science also requires active participation from the students themselves. Students must be willing to engage with the material and take responsibility for their own learning. This means completing homework assignments, reading course materials, and participating in discussions and activities. Students should also take advantage of any extra resources that are available to them, such as textbooks, online tutorials, or study groups. One way to encourage active learning is through the use of inquiry-based learning. This approach places the emphasis on the student to investigate a scientific problem or question, often in the form of an experiment or investigation. By taking ownership of their learning, students are more likely to be engaged with the material and to retain what they have learned. Another important aspect of effective learning is the use of technology. Technology can provide students with access to a wealth of resources and information, and it can also be used to enhance the learning experience. For example, simulations and virtual laboratories can provide students with a hands-on experience without the need for expensive equipment or materials. Online quizzes and games can also be used to reinforce key concepts and provide feedback to students. Effective teaching and learning of science requires a combination of factors, including a deep understanding of the subject matter, appropriate teaching methods, a positive learning environment, active participation from the students, and the use of technology. By incorporating these elements into their teaching practices, teachers can help to ensure that their students are well prepared to succeed in science and beyond. As science continues to play an increasingly important role in our society, it is more important than ever to prioritize effective teaching and learning of this critical subject.